Two of my favorite things, ribs and whiskey. And I'm gonna tell you, this whiskey's good, but don't sleep on these Whiskey Glazed Peach Ribs, because they're the real eye-opener, if you know what I mean. All right, the first thing that we do, guys, is season our ribs with a little bit of honey chipotle rub, lay down a good layer on the back and the front, and then come back with a layer of peach rub. You wanna let it set here and let it sweat in for about 10 to 15 minutes before we get it on our Outlaw pit. All right, these ribs are good and sweated in. Let's get them on the pit. All right, now that we got them over here, our pit's running about 300 degrees. We're gonna get it settled in between 275 and 300. Let's get these ribs on. All right, now that the ribs are on, we got them bunched up a little bit. And the reason I do that, all that meat's gonna be thicker, it's gonna swell better, everything on the pit. Let's get the pit closed, and we're not gonna check them for about an hour. We always get a ton of questions about our butter bath and wrap. So today I figured I'd explain it a little more in depth. So when you wrap your ribs or your pork or whatever you want to wrap, it doesn't matter. This has got butter, brown sugar, honey, and some spices in it. Now it's all been dehydrated down and put in a bag. So all I'm gonna do is take this right here. I've got 2 slabs of ribs on my grill cooking right now. I'm gonna open this bag of butter bath here. And per the directions on the back of the bag, I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup of this per slab of ribs. So I know that I'm gonna put 1 scoop in and 2 scoops in. Now, I've got 8-ounce bottles of apple juice. I'm gonna get 2 of them in there. But here's my trick. I'm gonna put 1 in right now to start mixing. Get it mixed up really well where I can shake all that around. Then I'm gonna go back and add the other one and shake it up a little bit more. And that's as simple as it gets. All you gotta do is screw that lid on, make sure the top is shut, and shake her up. Once you get it all shook up, all you gotta do then is pour it out on your rib. I'm done shaking. All right, now let's add another bottle here, get it all shook up. We're gonna be ready to wrap our 2 slabs of ribs. All right, we've kept our Outlaw running between 275 to 300 degrees. It's running about 300 right now because we just put a log on not long ago. Our ribs have been on an hour and a half. Let's get in here and check them. Oh yeah, look at this. Now we've done no spritz, nothing to these ribs here. So I'm gonna lay this rib out here and you see me wiping on that and there's not really anything on my finger but grease. That rib passes the old smear test. I know that rib is ready to be wrapped and that flavor is locked in. Get this other slab off of here. Look at that. Both of them just as pretty as you please. All right, so just to explain a little bit about my ribs here. I've got foil here and I've got it doubled over. All right, so we're gonna take our rib here and we're gonna lay it face down. All right, you can see we seasoned the back of that rib up really good. That flavor's locked in on the back right as well. So I'm gonna take half of my butter bath here and pour it in the foil. Make sure you get a little bit on the back of that rib there, just like that. And right at 8 ounces dead on the money. So I'm gonna take this foil here, make sure I'm not getting all of it. Now, I've got this foil in a sheet pan here, as you will see. And the reason I'm doing that, so it will hold all that liquid and that liquid don't run all over the place. That's just another tip and trick. So, bend it over here, get it folded up all nice and good, and that rack is ready back to go on the grill. Now, just by where they're at, the feel and the look, depending on what temp you cook at and what grill you cook at, that's all gonna depend on how long it takes for that rib to pass a smear test. So today we cooked about an hour and a half, but if you were cooking on a pellet grill or something different, It may take 2.5 hours to get that bark to set up. So every grill is gonna be different. Don't freak out if you're cooking on something else. Remember, you're just cooking ribs. This is not rocket science, and it's not that hard. It's my favorite time to make some glaze, and it just so happens to have a little bit of Crown in it. This Crown Peach right here, pretty good. That is pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna start off with 2 tablespoons of butter here. I'm gonna go in with a shot of Crown Peach. Now, I'm gonna get this over on my eye, let it keep going. I'm gonna add a few, maybe 2 to 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. I've got a couple heaping tablespoons of peach preserves here. I'm gonna add about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of my sweet sauce and about the same of this checkered pig. Remember, I've only got a couple slabs of ribs, so it's not gonna take much. Let's get this going. The key to this is letting the alcohol burn off of this whiskey just a tad before we start adding all the other ingredients. If we don't, it's gonna have a real punch flavor. If you like that punch flavor, then add everything together, then melt it down. It's completely your choice, your cook. See that butter and that bourbon starting to brown off? I can smell it. You wanna let that jelly and that brown sugar all meet and marry together and all the flavors. You see it's gonna start bubbling up here, getting going. You just keep it stirred around. It's kind of thin. It's the way you want it. Now, once it starts breaking into a boil here, you want to be sure you start go ahead and adding a little sauce. So remember, I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of checkered pig sauce. Maybe a little more than 1/4, maybe between about 2/3. Now, once I get that in there, I'm going to come back with a little bit of my sweet sauce. Get that stirred up. Let it get melted and married all in. And then we're gonna be ready to glaze some ribs. Look at that, and this is before no glaze whatsoever on these ribs. They look shiny. They're good enough to eat right now. If you don't want any sauce on them, you could actually sprinkle a little more dry rub on these ribs, return them to your pit, and turn them into a dry rub rib. That would be completely up to you, and I guarantee they will be delicious. But this whiskey peach glaze we just made, I know it's gonna be good. So let's get these ribs turned over, get a basting brush, and get them sauced up. Now I'm gonna pour a little bit on the back of this here, and then kind of brush it in. You can see this is gonna be a really thin sauce. I'm not trying to do nothing really thick. Super on these ribs, it's gonna run off. So let's just get it brushed in here and get them turned over. Now you always wanna make sure you run your sauce down the ends there too. I even like my end bones with a little sauce on them. You know that's good. Peach flavor is coming through on that, guys. Really good. Now these ribs are just lightly glazed with that peach glaze, like we said. Oh, look at that. Let's get these back over to our Outlaw smoker, lay them down for about 10 minutes to tack up, and these things are gonna be great. All right, we've put that final kiss of smoke on these ribs here. And as you can see, look when I reach in here and grab that rib. She got that little bit of flex to it. They're glazed over really nice. That's what we're looking for. Got a little bit of pop there, a little bit of flex, but not breaking in half. These ribs are gonna be on the money. Would you look at those? Let's get them over here to the cutting board and slice one of these babies and try one. All right, our whiskey peach glazed ribs are off of our Outlaw Patio smoker. And I'm gonna tell you, these things turned out incredible. And you know I gotta do that rib flop, baby. Watch it fly away, watch it fly away. And you know that rib is gonna be perfect, dead on the money. You see the bone pull, it's got that flop if you want, it'll stand up, it does not matter. You can take that rib here, grab your 2 bones, wave it back and forth, it does not matter. That rib is just like on the front, like it is on the back. I'll tell you just like I do the barbecue judges. This right here will get you paid, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's a work of art. So, just to recap, we took 2 racks of Prairie Fresh St. Louis prime ribs, cut them out of the pack. We used honey chipotle and peach rubs on these ribs. Put them on our Outlaw smoker, let them go for about 1.5 hours, then we wrapped them up in our butter bath, and then got them back on, let them get tender, and then we made up a glaze. I'm gonna put that recipe in the description below, and I'm gonna tell you, after we let them tack up for about 15 minutes on that grill, the sauce is stuck to them, still kind of saucy. They've got that right tenderness. Let's get in here and try them. All right, guys, let's get in here and cut these ribs. You see I've got my big Victorinox knife slicer here, my brisket slicer. I'm gonna use this thing here, and I'm gonna cut a bone of ribs out. Oh yeah. Look at that smoke ring from that Outlaw and that hickory wood. That rolled oak charcoal run hot, but I can tell y'all, the smell of this rib is incredible, and I know the taste is gonna be even better. Worth trying. I know what I'm gonna glaze some wings with coming up too. That glaze is killer. If you like what we're doing on our channel, be sure to like, subscribe, wear it on your face like me. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and of course YouTube. I'll see you next week with another video. This is good.